You wake before sunrise. The air hurts your lungs. Your fingers are stiff. The ground beneath you is frozen solid. When you exhale, your breath disappears into the darkness. Today, winter is uncomfortable. You turn on the heat. You zip up a jacket. You wait for spring. Now, imagine surviving the same season without a house, without insulated clothing, without supermarkets, without medicine, without knowing when the next meal would come. For prehistoric humans, winter wasn't simply a colder time of year. It was a season that tested every decision they made. One mistake could mean starvation. Another could mean freezing to death before morning. Yet somehow, humans survived the coldest period our species has ever faced. During the last glacial maximum, around 26,000 to 19,000 years ago, enormous ice sheets covered much of North America and northern Europe. In some regions, winter temperatures dropped below 30 degrees C, entire landscapes became frozen deserts. And still, people lived there. The real mystery isn't how ancient humans endured winter, it's why they survived when so many larger, stronger animals disappeared forever. To answer that question, archaeologists have uncovered evidence that reveals a side of prehistoric life most people never imagine, a side that feels disturbing, brutal, even dark, because surviving winter sometimes required choices that no modern human would ever want to face. Around 31,000 years ago, a group of hunter-gatherers established a camp high above the Arctic Circle in what is now northern Siberia. Today, archaeologists know this site as Yana RHS. When Russian archaeologist Vladimir Patulko and his team excavated the site, they expected to find evidence of temporary visits. Instead, they discovered something astonishing: stone tools, ivory weapons, animal bones, fireplaces, and clear evidence that people had lived there through one of the harshest climates on Earth, winter. Temperatures may have fallen below 40 degrees C. There were no forests nearby, very little firewood, almost no natural shelter. By every expectation, humans should not have survived there. Yet they did. The first clue was what they hunted: thousands of bones belonging to woolly mammoths, reindeer, bison, and Arctic foxes were scattered across the site. These animals provided much more than food. Every part of their bodies became a survival tool. Fat became fuel, hides became insulation, bones became building material, sinew became rope. Nothing was wasted. But here's where it gets stranger. Meat alone wasn't enough to survive an Ice Age winter. Person can eat kilograms of lean meat every day and still slowly starve. Modern explorers call this protein poisoning, or rabbit starvation. When the body consumes too much lean protein without enough fat or carbohydrates, it cannot process the excess nitrogen efficiently. The liver becomes overwhelmed, energy levels collapse. Eventually, death can follow despite a full stomach. Ancient humans understood this long before anyone knew the word protein. Not through science, through survival. They deliberately targeted the fattiest parts of large animals. The thick layer of fat beneath a mammoth's skin, the rich marrow sealed inside enormous leg bones, even the organs where calories were concentrated. Archaeologists frequently find prehistoric bones smash open in a consistent pattern, not because people were careless, because the marrow inside was too valuable to leave behind. 1 kilogram of marrow contains far more usable energy than the same amount of lean muscle. During winter, that difference could keep an entire family alive for another day. But food wasn't the only thing hidden inside those bones. There was another reason prehistoric people shattered them so completely. A reason that became even more important when the landscape itself offered almost nothing to burn. By the end of winter, the human body begins to change. Fat reserves disappear, muscles weaken, your immune system slows. Even simple wounds become more dangerous because the body has fewer resources to repair itself. For prehistoric humans, surviving until spring was not only a battle against the environment, it was a battle against their own biology. Modern medicine calls prolonged exposure to extreme cold hypothermia. When your core body temperature falls below 35 degrees Celsius, the brain begins to function differently. Thinking slows, judgment becomes impaired, speech becomes confused. As body temperature continues to drop, people often stop realizing they are in danger at all. Without shelter or warmth, death can come quietly. Ancient humans had no thermometers, but they understood the warning signs through experience. Archaeological evidence suggests they invested enormous effort in building shelters that trapped heat instead of simply blocking the wind. At sites like Mazyrik in present-day Ukraine, dating to around 15,000 years ago, archaeologists uncovered circular structures built from hundreds of mammoth bones. These weren't random piles, they were carefully engineered dwellings. Large bones formed the frame. Animal hides likely stretched across the outside. Inside, small hearths provided steady warmth. The design reduced heat loss and created a protected space where entire families could survive long winter nights. But even the best shelter couldn't solve another deadly problem: darkness. During Ice Age winters, northern regions experienced extremely short days. Hunters often had only a few hours of usable daylight. Every mistake became more costly. Every journey carried greater risk. Losing your way in a snowstorm could be fatal. So prehistoric people adapted in another remarkable way. They planned ahead. Studies of hunter-gatherer societies show that successful foragers rely heavily on detailed mental maps of their landscapes. Water sources, animal migration routes, sheltered valleys, stone outcrops, safe campsites. This knowledge was passed from one generation to the next through observation and experience. Long before written maps existed, the human brain became one. And perhaps that was humanity's greatest survival tool. Not sharper teeth, not thicker fur, not greater strength, memory, cooperation, planning. Winter also changed the way people lived together. When temperatures dropped and food became scarce, staying close to others increased the chances of survival. Groups shared warmth around fires. They shared food after successful hunts. They cared for injured hunters who could no longer travel. Evidence from sites such as Shanidar Cave in Iraq shows that severely injured individuals survived for years, suggesting they received long-term support from their communities. In the harshest season of the year, cooperation became as valuable as any weapon. The darkest survival methods of prehistoric humans were not dark because they were cruel. They were dark because they revealed how little room nature left for mistakes. Every animal was used completely. Bones became fuel. Fat became life. Frozen landscapes became food storage. Shelters were built from the remains of the creatures they hunted. Nothing could be wasted, because wasting even one resource might cost someone the spring. Today, winter usually means heavier clothing, a warm meal, and waiting for longer days to return. But for nearly all of human history, winter was an annual survival test that lasted for months. The people who endured it were not protected by technology. They were protected by knowledge accumulated over thousands of generations. Knowledge carved into stone tools, hidden inside ancient campsites, preserved in broken bones and abandoned hearths across the Arctic. The coldest winters in human history should have erased our species. Instead, they revealed the trait that would carry humans across every continent on Earth. Not that we were the strongest animals, but that we learned to survive where almost nothing else could.